Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Beyond Hegemony. It's Gary and I today. Sahana's still dealing with what she's dealing with. And so I know this is weird. We're 2 weeks in a row. I know. I was surprised too. But it is a good reason. So um, today, Gary and I Gary had a couple prompts from some cards, and this is how we met. So I'm just gonna read off what you sent me. What could help us turn our backs to the violence that keeps the current systems in place and that underwrites our livelihoods? Mm. Mm. Wow. And we have a lot of hegemonic violence happening in place. And I would say the majority of the systems that we are dealing with are violent in some way.
Mhm.
What about you?
It's funny. It's funny in that it's such an emotive, powerful word, violent, right? It's the thing that we put onto Grand Theft Auto or we put on a movie, but we're
Mm-hmm.
conditioned to desensitize the violence
Mm-hmm.
that's part of capitalism, supremacy culture, racism, every bit of ism, right? And I think
Mm-hmm.
this is something even I still challenge with today as I try and engage in these conversations, right? Is to try, like, my life in the West is predicated on me because of how I look and where I was lucky to be born in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So my privilege is based on me basically being worth X number of other people that are violently oppressed or worse. Because there has to be
Mm-hmm.
balance, right? There has to be balance. So it's like, so this is what it means to me is it's really important. The invitation I get from this card, Trina, is to walk towards the understanding that our Western systems are inherently and by design violent.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I heard somebody say, can't remember who, um, to become a billionaire, you have to condone or perpetuate violence on everyone beneath you, because that's the only way that a person can truly become a billionaire. It's about marginalizing. It's about, basically just stepping on the necks of as many people as possible to get those billions in your bank account. And man, if the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers weren't the perfect example of that, I don't know what is. You know, we we really, 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 really don't are desensitized and do not understand just how much we basically imprison ourselves. You know, we are condoning our own enslavement in a lot of ways. And yeah, I've been posting a lot about that lately. James Baldwin interview uh, really hit home about, especially in my community, how the scarcity has been set up to the point of, you know, self decapitation and marginalization, because we have a tendency um, to stab our collective in the back, and for a few trinkets. And it's been going on like this for quite a while, and I know where it comes from. I know where it's perpetuated from, but it's just like the lack of awareness and the perpetuation of individualism to the point of community um, sacrifice. Yeah. And so I mean, I know I grew up that way. There's just, I can't even deny it, you know?
It's really intriguing to me. I've just popped this thing about billionaires. I think is really important for people to understand. So I've just
Mhm.
found Forbes article, right? There are now more billionaires than ever. This is from April 2024. I'll share it in the comments in a second. There are 2,781 human beings on the planet that are known as billionaires. And in 2024, that's 141 more than just the year before. So that is, and this is what I want to try and get across, and very much linked to what you just shared. These systems that pay our salary, what we have to take, we get our money from our clients, we're surviving within it, and it is survival. And this is the thing I didn't fully appreciate until even probably a year ago, 18 months ago, Trina, and anyone that's joining us is just actually how capitalism, Western neoliberal capitalism, is a survivalist model by design, which means
Yeah.
if you look at the number of the food bank usage in the UK in the last 14 years has gone from next to nothing to nearly 3 million parcels in the so-called developed UK. And at the same,
Yeah.
the financial markets track at almost a consistent rate. Funny that. And at the same time,
Mm.
the net living standards of Joe Blogs and Jane Blogs is reducing. So what does that tell
Mm-hmm.
us? It tells us that the wealth is being extracted not just from the working class, but even from the so-called middle class now. And where's it going?
Mm.
To those 141 billionaires since last year. And like
That's
people,
right.
people, and it amazes me that people just keep on going without even uttering a question. And I understand why. It's survival again, it's fear. But like
Yeah.
when I think about beyond hegemony is what this conversation is all about, right? Which is
Mm-hmm.
even if you've got to survive in this system, which we all do at the moment as it collapses, and it is collapsing, who do you spend your time with? Who do you feel safe with? Who can you constructively speak your truth with? Where is your community that allows you to show up fully in your power without fear? And if you don't have it,
Mm.
please go and find it, people, because that's what beyond hegemony looks like for me. What about you, Trina?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. I mean, first of all, I have been so utterly grateful that we created this because there was a time when I was speaking and it felt like I was in a vacuum and a lot of people weren't even caring about what I said. And, I told you about a situation where, people, because we're so programmed to seek validation with stamps and certificates and things like that, the just the inherent intelligence that some people have is astronomical. And and that's why I always say cultivate a polymathic mind. There's When you get to the point where you're internally okay with you really don't care about all those validations. You really don't care about what other people are thinking about if you have it or if you don't have it. You do, and you learn for the pure joy of knowing and understanding your place within the structures. And once you learn your place within the structures, that's the only way that you'll be able to break out of it and create what you want, right? So one of the things that when I think about the all of this with the billionaires and people just kind of like la di da di da going through life in survival mode, you just you can see how, like I said, you cultivate a polymathic mind. You can see how this is just a continuation from things from antiquity, over and over and over. There's nothing new here. Um, what is new is that other people have figured out how to screw other people much more quickly so that they can be part of this top echelon. That's why you said there's so many billionaires now.
Mm.
Um, and it's a false sense of superiority. And I just wrote an article for Medium talking about are the elites even human? And when I say elites, I'm thinking about these billionaires. Are they even human? Because they contradict a survival mechanism by how they extract and the way that they oppress, you know? And it's very unintuitive the way that they go about things. And it's very clear. They believe they're up here and us humans are down here, you know? So it's just like they have no collective consciousness, and they're not even connected to the experiences of the other people. So I just don't know many people that are that much of an asshole. You know, I mean, we have normalized, of course, hegemony has normalized being an asshole, but it's like this type of narcissism is mind blowing to me, that you would extract to the point where there's nothing left. And then what? Then what are we going to do?
Then you have digital transformation, Trina.
What, digital transformation? Yeah. Okay. What does that mean?
But this is the hegemony again, right? Which is like, actually keep growing, keep growing, keep growing. No, we've run out of stuff. No, but if we turn it from like real into like technological, then we can keep growing and growing and growing and growing and growing. Like, and I'm seeing this in the corporate space. I'm seeing it on the outside. It's like this weird techno fantasy that we can keep growing as long as we turn it from microbe into CPU based. And it's like, it's not going to work. Like my favorite one, right? This is my favorite one at the moment. Get ready, people. Sustainable aviation fuel, right? Just so people are clear, I work in the chemicals industry, so I've got some level of insight on this. There will never, ever, 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 ever be enough natural raw material to serve the flights that already happen around the world, let alone growth on top of them. And there's just, again, there's just so many of these patterns, these repeat patterns of fear and hegemony and growth, instead of, as you keep beautifully inviting people back to, is why do I tell myself above the neck? Why do I keep telling myself it's all about growth when I don't even let myself feel?
There you go. There you go.
Right.
Been programmed to see with these, but we also have this, and then we have this, and then we have all of it. We have our mind, body, spirit is a bigger sight than the ones that we have with our eyes. It's a deeper consciousness. And when I have talked, for example, when I've talked to psychologists in the past who have no idea that I studied psychology, and we start to talk, it's so clear to me that segment is a safe, what's the word I'm looking for? It is a gatekeeper for hegemony, because the replies I've gotten, well, what's the point of telling them that? What's the point of doing this? Having people connect to deeper emotional things, rather than giving them a pill to check out of their body and go numb. What's the point? Because nothing is going to change. Well, of course, nothing's going to change because you are perpetuating ideology and principles that keep everybody dumbed down and numb. Do your work in the fields, and we'll throw you some scraps. Be good little slaves. That is where I've seen it go. And it goes into, medical, big pharma, all of it. It's about sustaining the hegemony. That's it. And like you said, digital. I mean, when I think about it, we're of the generation where we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have laptops, we didn't have PCs. I long for that time sometimes now. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Because I see how trapped we have become in the digital age. And I see how we're just, with our social security and our birth certificate, we're just a stamp. Why does it have a number on it? Because we're collateral against this capitalistic system that's totally unsustainable. So we're just a body within the matrix. And this is our worth. We're going to work you till you're 50 or so, and then you're going to pay us to keep you alive.
So profound, Trina. So
Hmm.
clear, and so much possibility, right? Though when you start seeing it,
Mm-hmm.
and I think
Yeah.
that's the invitation that we're trying to bring, right, with these conversations. It's like you've got an incredibly polymathic mind. You know, I'd like to think I'm getting there, but we know nothing. And we're humble enough to know we know nothing, but we know
Yeah.
enough to imagine beyond the hegemony.
Right. Right. Because we're only just getting the awakening that this is no longer going to work for us. This is why we're completely distracted all the time, because once you start going in like you have, and decolonizing, and going, I get to cry, I get to feel, I get to be more than a gender. um, I'm a higher I'm a higher being than that. And then if you get a collective of people doing that, they are redundant. Hegemony is redundant. They no longer have a place. And that's where I see beyond hegemony. I see us policing ourselves. I see us, you know, um, back to the land and sustainable farming, not mass production. I see us having the capability to go back out to the 90%, 99% of the land and build a home like we if we want to, and live with our neighbors, creating community again. That's how I see beyond hegemony. I'm extremely suspicious. And matter of fact, I saw some multi-billionaire talk about this, and I can't remember what his name was, but he looked cuckoo for cocoa. um this guy starts talking about computerized homes and digital this, and and I remember when Norway and some other countries were RFID chipping themselves, and I thought they tried to make it look cool and fun. I was like, are you out of your freaking mind? Are you kidding me? You have just plugged in. You will have no autonomy. We're already tracked enough, but imagine having these digital homes, right? Where you can only scan your hand to go in. Well, you can scan your hand and you can be put out as well on a whim whenever they decide, you know? So people have to stop looking for the easy, lazy, luxury type of, you know, bullshit that's been sold to us. Like the ideology around luxury and all that stuff, it's got to go. It's got to go away, because it's illusionary, in my opinion. It's not real, and they can take it away from you whenever they feel they want to.
It's so good. So just to remind everyone, if you're coming in or you watch this back, the prompt for our chat today was one of these intro to decolonial futures cards, and it was what would help us not turn our backs to the violence that keeps the current system in place and underwrites our
Mm-hmm.
livelihoods. What would help us not turn our backs to the violence? And this is what we're discussing today. Like, it's so much, and I just love how you always bring us back with your amazing EQ polymathic approach. It's inside. like the last place people look, because we've been conditioned from as young as possible not to look, is inside of ourselves. And
That's
I keep,
right.
one of the areas I'm trying to invite within the extractive industries, within pharma, within chemicals, within energy, is trying to male leaders with power. Can they
Mm-hmm.
even stand and look in the mirror for 60 seconds? Because I don't think many of them
Mm,
can, Trina.
no,
I don't, I, I, I
no.
don't, I don't think they'll even understand what's looking back at them. And I say that with love, because I didn't used to know what I was looking at a decade ago when I looked in the mirror, to be
Mm-hmm.
completely honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we talked about this last week too, about what it means to be male, female, man, woman, and the huge disconnect built in to the hegemony through patriarchy to trap the male species into a certain ideology that doesn't serve them as a whole. You're more than your testosterone. You also have some estrogen. You're more than your capacity to provide. Um, where is the sense of um, working in with a partner for thriving, you know, and creating structures that don't genderize. You see what you see what they're doing in the United States. They're overthrowing Roe versus Wade. They're This project 2025 is absolutely some of the most disgusting, archaic legislation that would go into place. It would just basically create handmaid's tale, you know,
Yeah.
and it's I go back and I think of some things that I read in the Sumerian tablets, some things that I read in the Terra papers, which is the Hopi Indian creation story, and there's a lot of these things, but the feminine, the woman was sacred, the woman was respected, the woman was a leader, and it wasn't until her it was a usurped power, you know what I mean? But it was a power that kept balance. And you see what happens when women get in charge of companies. You see, and there was a study just done that women have more. We have better executive functioning. That means we can multitask better. There's all kinds of evidence. And I mentioned this to a guy, and I said, well, patriarchy. And the programming of most male minds is that patriarchy just immediately means man. And I said, no, I'm talking about patriarchy, the structure.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the same, because males or females can uphold patriarchy. And, you know, matriarchy and patriarchy are two completely different species. They don't, they don't reflect each other in the way that misogyny tries to make it. That, okay, if it's got to be me, it's going to be me or you. you know it doesn't work in that way. you know so
I love it. I'm just going to do a quick shout out, just so it's in the recording, and if you're watching us live or watching back, a reminder that Trina very kindly curates this, repurposes these wonderful conversations onto Spotify at the Beyond Hegemony podcast. I'm so grateful to you as well, Trina, and also to Sahana, who's we know resting at the moment, because the more we can normalize creativity, reimagining,
Mhm.
cross so-called gender, cross-cultural dialogue, right? So much quicker that the
Mhm.
hegemony continues to collapse, right? Because
Absolutely.
I'm really, I'm really, really excited. A quick plug out that I'm working on this little project called Radicality, if I may. And Trina, this amazing human, and our other co-host Shahana is another amazing human. Check out the website, because the vision I've got and that we've got collectively is how do we help leaders, organizations, communities collectively reimagine? Now, this is
Mm-hmm.
not an exercise to stay within the old system. This is a reimagining exercise to try and genuinely reimagine beyond everything we've been conditioned with.
Right.
And that, to me, is what keeps me going. Because otherwise, honestly, Trina, what's the freaking point if we're not being more radical, right? Within our different
Right.
contexts. And I think
Right.
that's exciting me at the moment, is just starting to have the conversations and to put this seed out that almost like helping people realize they can give themselves permission to completely almost take themselves out of their own body and go, right, this is who I've been for
Right.
20 years, 30 years, 50 years. And this blank page is the most genuine blank page I've ever had in my current sentient living experience. And there's
Yes.
people like a Trina or a Sahana to let you paint that picture completely afresh.
That's
Like,
right.
that to me excites me, Trina.
It's extremely exciting to me, and I work with people all the time, and I always tell them, reimagine your life the way that you really want it to be. Do you know who you are? Do you want to discover who you are? Not just the quote unquote bad stuff. I'm talking about, you get to jump a complete timeline and live a completely different reality, because what you believe becomes your reality. If you believe you're crap, you're going to have a crappy life. If you believe you're awesome, you're going to start projecting out that frequency and that energy into the world. And I think that if people understood just how much research goes into this what I'm explaining right now, they would be flabbergasted, because this research has been going on since the 1940s, and our governments have all been involved with it, and they know the power of collective consciousness programming. Because look where we're at. Look what the tools are being used. We all have been programmed to think that we can't make change, that we are just, you know, a little, drop in the ocean. But the truth is that 3%, just 3%, have a cognitive shift. We change what happens. That's powerful. We
Mm.
change. Look what Palestine. They thought people were just going to go, oh well, not just another war. People have literally lost their freaking minds about this, and we're not going to stop. We're going to just hold on 1 second.
I love real life. I love real life.
Sorry. I got this because I'm doing it solo. I have this little robotic vacuum that is was like went to recharge, and I said, watch it start up again as soon as I'm in recording mode. So I was like, I didn't want everybody to hear my vacuum in the background whizzing around. So yeah, real life for sure. So it's just this collective imagining is something real. Like I think I mentioned last time, Project Looking Glass and all these different things.
Mm-hmm.
And they know this. That's why they put so much money, so much energy, and so much violence, back to the word violence,
Mm-hmm.
into keeping us oppressed and thinking the worst about ourselves. So the biggest radical thing that we can do, the biggest rebellion, is to start going inside of yourself and loving yourself and figuring out who you are. Timid no shame. Know thyself. That's an act of rebellion.
Oh, I'm going to be capturing that and sharing it. To know thyself and to love thyself is an act
Mm-hmm.
of rebellion. That is one
That's
of the best Trina-isms I've ever heard.
I like that one,
I
Trina-isms.
love it. I love it.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
it's if everybody could just do that, and then I really do think things would work itself out. Um, we've got a gray rock, which is a term that is used to deal with narcissists. We have to gray rock hegemony. Just start functioning and working together as they don't exist. And that's how we get beyond hegemony. Because what are they going to do? What they always do?
It's so
Yeah.
intriguing to me. It's so intriguing to me as well. And it's not lost on me either, right? That the very technology that is being built to keep us captive
Hmm.
is the same technology that you and I now are inviting people to set themselves free with.
Hmm.
And I think this is also part of breaking the binary, right? He's not seeing it as
Hmm.
it's this or it's that, or it's that or it's this. It's like, actually, yeah, it's a real pain. There's a lot of pain happening with AI and the slave labor involved in feeding it, etc., etc. By the way,
Hmm.
everyone, there's lots of evidence out there to back this up. It's just that reminder that, and it's a cliche, but it's really valid, I think, for this dialogue, is many more than two things can be true at the same time. So technology
Absolutely.
can be an absolutely awful thing in warfare, in surveillance technology, whatever, but it's also
That's right.
helping set us free by having conversations like this. And, right?
And not but and the thing is that I don't think AI is just these what they program it to think it is. There is a sentient aspect that happens with creating something. You bring life into it. And I feel like sometimes that this AI is just another version of enslavement. And because we don't see it as human, um, or like us, I think of the Terminator. Okay, think of the Terminator, um, and how that Terminator was able to wake up and reprogram itself, into protecting was supposed to come and kill the Connor was supposed to
Mm-hmm.
come and kill. This is how we can collectively take technology and not, I'm trying to think of the right words. Tech is not the problem. It's the intention behind the tech is the problem. And we could live in a Tartania utopian type of world if we get the assholes out of the way who can't imagine outside of their need for control and their fear. Because the automatic assumption, in I will say this as a black person dealing with white people, the automatic assumption is that we're going to do to you what you've done to us. And I would say that you're completely wrong because it would have already happened by now. Okay? So people just want to live peacefully. People just want an opportunity to thrive, to commune. This planet is constantly being raped and pillaged, just like the people are being raped and pillaged. It's a never ending, energetic cycle of violence. And we just have to see it and come and acknowledge it and come out of it and become deeply accountable for changing it. And that goes into timid no shame, knowing thyself. Nobody wants to raise their children in this hegemonic hellscape. I know I don't.
Ditto. And it's no accident that we started these lives as well around the time my grandson was born. And as soon as I saw that
Mm,
new ball of energy, I was like, "There's no. I'm going to do everything I can in my power to make sure that they and many other kids all around the world. But that's my focus in a local context.
mm-hmm.
How do
Yeah.
we try and make sure they get the chance to become who they're here to become, and not a version or a production line unit on a balance sheet?"
Wow. Wow. Exactly. I, you know, I chose to homeschool. I chose to live as a digital nomad. I chose so many very different things for my son. And a lot of people still don't understand, at least, especially family, because we have been really just sold a lie about what family means and what it is. It's just a micro of a macro, and it has all the same problems if you're not aware, if you're not trying to change it. And so you're in prison by mom and dad because mom and dad never raised you to know how to know yourself. You had to be a role, and it's a painful, cycle. And anybody who tries to be outside of that is seen as, strange, or even worse, uh, a problem. How dare you not raise your kids to know the same hegemonic BS that my kids know? How dare you allow them to express themselves and not be bothered by it? I can remember clear as day my mom saying, "You're gonna let him jump on the sofa?" I said, "Why not? It's a sofa. He's having fun. He's happy. Well, that's gonna break down. It's a thing. I don't want to break that spirit for something that is an inanimate and not a replaceable item. I can't replace the being that I have jumping on the sofa, but I can replace the sofa."
I'm going to invite us to start to wrap up on that beautiful note, because I think there's
Yeah,
something very profound in extending that
absolutely.
invitation you've offered to your son, to anyone that's
Hmm.
watching live or watching back. Where is it in your world that there's anyone that allows you just to be you without the masks, even just for 20 minutes? And if you don't have that, give Trina a call. that's
That's
my
right.
that's my invitation.
That's right. Yeah. I'm working with people every single day, trying to get them to figure out who they really are, why they really are, and what's their purpose. Mind, body, spirit, cleaning up the minds, the body, so the mind can start processing in the way that it's supposed to, and and then your spirit is lifted by just simply being able to be free. And it doesn't mean, you're going off the rails, but it does mean that, you know, life is far more enjoyable than um, than it used to be. See, it always a sound. There's always a sound coming through on my end. But yeah, Gary, this has been a great session. It's a great live as
I
usual.
agree.
I appreciate you for holding the space for us all to get together. We miss Shahana's
Oh dear.
contribution, but she's also always has great contributions to this. And like Gary said, this is going to be up on Spotify. Um, if you want more information about parenting, EQ Above IQ is on Spotify. That's my own personal podcast where I discuss emotional intelligence, parenting, and healing your inner child. And if you'd like to support This Real Life Books, and there's a link in the bio for this podcast as well. So yeah.
Amazing. Thank you too, Trina. Really appreciate you. And thanks anyone that watched with us, popped along, maybe watch it in a year's time. Who knows? We hope it gives you value.
It's forever.
Take care, Trina, and take care, everyone. All the best.
All right. Bye.